All right, good morning, students. Good afternoon, students. I am going to talk to you today about compound interest. Earlier this week, you did a paper where you were looking at simple interest, what that is, and then you filled in some information. So today we're going to be talking about compound interest, which is the other side of that. So you're going to get your papers back and you're going to fill this part in as well. For now, I would like you to pull out a piece of paper, and we're going to do some Cornell notes. So you're going to put a line down your paper about an inch or two in from the left side. Notes, the interest, as you guys learned earlier this week, is the price paid for using someone else's money or the amount earned for using money. You learned simple interest has the formula I equals P R T, where I stands for interest, P is principal, R is rate, but it must be as a decimal, and T is time in years. So today we're going to be talking about compound interest, which is a little bit different than simple interest, and the formula is also on your mathematics formula chart, and we're going to talk about how this formula works. So A stands for the total amount either earned on an investment or paid for borrowing money. P is still the principal. It's the amount that you paid. It's the amount that you invested or the amount that you borrowed. R stands for the interest rate, and we have to make sure that that is in decimal form. And again, T stands for time, which is always in years. All right, so just a quick review from earlier this week. I want you to think about the terms that you talked about. Principal is the amount invested or borrowed. So if I borrow $100, I'm going to end up paying back more than $100 because I borrowed $100 and I have to pay interest. But if I invest $100, I'm going to end up with receiving a little bit of interest, but $100 is always the principal because that's the amount that I put in or borrowed. The rate is a percent, usually. It's a percent that you will either earn or owe, and we have to always convert it to a decimal to work with it mathematically. Okay, time is always going to be the years that it's borrowed or the years it is invested. So 6 months is actually going to be considered half or 5/10 of a year. In this particular equation, the A, or the amount, is either the total amount that you will owe or the total amount that you will earn. So this is the total amount, including interest. All right, so how do I calculate this? To buy a car, Frank borrows $9,000 for 3 years, compounded annually, at a rate of 12%. What is the total amount that Frank will pay for the car? So when we talked earlier this week, it talked about using simple interest, and it was just a simple interest. It just says find the simple interest in the word problems. But this one says compounded annually. When it says compounded annually, that's going to tell me to choose this formula. We're going to do the same thing that we did before, and we're going to write P equals, R equals, and T equals so that we identify the amounts that we're discussing. So 9,000 is the amount that he is borrowing, so that is the principal. 3 years is the time, and it's already in years, so we don't have to convert that in any way. And 12% is the rate, which we have to convert to a decimal. So 12% is the same thing as 12 hundredths, so the rate is 12 hundredths. At this point, we're going to put this into the formula. A equals P times the quantity of 1 plus the rate to the power of t, which is the time. So the principal is 9,000. 1 plus my rate, which is 1200ths, and it's to the third power. And at this point, you can put this into the calculator to solve it. Okay, so I have a calculator, and 9,000, parentheses 1 plus 1200ths, close parentheses, and I'm going to raise that to the third power. So I press the little caret button here. Oops. I'm going to delete this one. Little caret button, and then 3. And then I'm going to press enter, and my amount is $12,644. And don't forget, we want to round it to the hundredths place, so that's actually 35 cents. Okay, so this represents the total amount. So it says, what is the total amount that Frank will pay for the car? Even though he is borrowing $9,000, he will pay $12,644.35. The next question, though, is how much interest will he pay after 3 years? So with simple interest, if you wanted to find the total amount, you had to use the formula I equals PRT and add to find the total. But because this one is giving you the total amount, to find the interest, you will have to subtract. So it's $12,644.35 minus the original 9,000. So I get $3,644.35 in interest. Okay, so here's one for you to try on your own. Isabella invested $3,000 in a bond at a compound interest rate of 3%. If she invests for 2 years, how much money will she make? What I would like to see is P, R, and T on your paper. I would like you to circle or underline the important information and label it. And then I want you to be careful of the question. So there's 2 things you could be asked. You could be asked for the total, or you could be asked for the interest. When you solve using the formula A equals P times the quantity of 1 plus the rate to the power of T, it is going to give you the total. Since it says how much money will she make, is it asking for the total or the interest? If she's already invested $3,000, that's part of the total. That's not how much she's going to make. What she'll make is actually the interest. So the answer that we're looking for is the interest. So you have to remember at the end of this problem to subtract. I will leave the answer with your guest teacher, and you can check that, and then you will do some practice problems just like we did for simple interest. If you have any questions, as always, see me in the hallway, let me know, and we will help you as much as we can. All right, thanks.